Gotta hustle.
Just like us, man. Just slanging T-shirts. Yeah.
Oh, I've got designs for you. I gotta send them to you.
Yeah. All right.
I haven't finished the hashtag full squad on the tramp stamp part of the shirt yet. So I got to finish that before I send it out.
I thought it was going to be hashtag strap on.
No, strap on is on the nipple.
Yeah.
And then hashtag full squad is on the back. Okay. On the tramp stamp, on the small of the back.
Gotcha.
I don't think we're going to do the logo. I think that's just going to be it.
People will just know.
I'm a little confused why the strap-on's on the nipple now.
Somehow you turned a quick T-shirt meeting into like pillow talk. I don't get it.
It's Coulson.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everything turns to pillow talk, Joey. You know me.
Mm-hmm.
So do all the ladies. You know what I'm saying?
Did we do a second sync? I don't
know.
I don't think so. Okay. Sorry, I got distracted.
Can't imagine why.
Yeah, so just prepare to...
It'll be great.
It'll be perfect.
Yeah, so just prepare to...
Y'all motherfuckers don't watch us play throughout the year, to tell you the truth. I'm gonna be real with you, and I don't care if I get fined.
So just prepare to...
That train is off the track.
I feel like you can't just like jump through Neptune and be okay.
Just prepare to...
What the show needs is more dogs and bears and chickens and stuff.
Yeah, so just prepare to be awash in unbelievable goodness.
Welcome, Pacers fans. You are listening to the Undebeatables, your semi-weekly Pacers podcast. This is episode 558. Coming from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm your host, Joey Gaffrida, the man behind the dials and former season ticket holder. This show, we're going to discuss how we think the rebuild of the Pacers should look like, and I want to talk a little bit about the ramifications of COVID running through the league again. Joining me this show are all three of our analysts, coast to coast, like buttered toast. First, from the high school home of Jamison Brewer, Silver Spring, Maryland, it's the doctor, Jason Triplett.
What is up, Pacers fans? What is up, Undebeatables? Shout out to my sister-in-law, who's celebrating a birthday when this podcast comes out, and shout out to those that are celebrating the Christmas holiday. Enjoy your time with the family, hopefully.
From Asheville, North Carolina, choosing to spend his time with us. I appreciate that, buddy. He's our in-house bartender, mixing up the drinks and the crappy jingles. John Colton.
What is up, Pacer Nation? What is up, Undebeatables? I would like to, this week, shout out Isaiah Jackson, who I believe I called Isaiah Stewart last week. So, shout out, rookie. You need to see some more minutes so I get your name right.
Yeah.
It's on him. This is not my fault. This is on him.
This is victim blaming is what it sounds like.
In your defense, there is an Isaiah Stewart in the league.
So in the universe, probably.
Yeah.
I thought we'd signed Isaiah Stewart, and
you got really excited. You were like, yes.
Yeah.
I do love it. It was a sentence, too, that started with the untouchable.
Yes. The untouchable Isaiah Stewart.
Who flubbed his name.
I forgot his name.
Hey, Isaiah Stewart, probably untradeable.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah. Shout out Isaiah Jackson. We love you. I'm a big fan.
From Boise, Idaho, out west, it's our enforcer, John Harper.
What is going on, fellas? Go ahead and shout out our Indiana Pacers today, who, according to Sportsline projections, have a 15.2% of making the postseason. That's more than zero.
Yeah. That is way more than I thought.
I'm going to push all my chips in now. Let's go.
Is that before we trade all our players, or is that like that's just with our current squad? Or they're thinking we're going to trade for Kevin Durant? Is that what they're thinking?
Obviously.
Before we get into the rest of the show, we want to remind you this show is brought to you by you. It's brought to you by our patrons over at patreon.com/undebeatables. You can support us for as little as $1 per month. Thank you to everyone who's done so. It really helps us improve our equipment and whatnot, and looking to make some more purchases. So thanks to everyone who's done that. Again, over at patreon.com/undebeatables. Check out all the different tiers. So as we discussed in the Tuesday show, I think we all believe that the Pacers are not in a position for success, and something's got to happen. And by something, I mean there's got to be personnel changes. There's sort of two ways, I think sort of high-level ways to go this. One is the hard way and the soft way. Colson, hard or soft? Is that what's your preference on that?
Whatever she prefers, I guess.
I'm confused.
No, so here's the deal. I have always been on the Donnie Walsh page, which is you don't break it down. You make uneven trades to keep up this team and keep it alive and well. We have done that for the entirety of my time being a fan, with the exception of a few years during Jim O'Brien. But pretty much after a 4-year dip, put ourselves back on the map. I bring this stat up all the time, but under Donnie Walsh, we were more likely to go to the Eastern Conference Finals than we were to miss the playoffs. He was not interested in having us tank. This is, I believe that Pritchard, inherited that along because that's what the Simons want, is to continue to be competitive and put a team on the floor that's going to at least compete for the playoffs. This is a pretty unique situation. We have an elite coach. At least when we brought him in, we thought he was one of the top 5 coaches that matter. That remains to be seen at this point. Things aren't going great. He's currently in COVID. And hasn't shown him a bunch what I thought. I thought he was going to be able to take this team and turn it around. And so I'm a little down on Carlisle right now. Do I notice some nice things that he does during a game? Sure, but I'm a little down on Coach right now. Do I like this collection of players? Yes. I was really excited. I thought this collection of players could, battle for home court. I really think that Brogdon, LeVert, Miles Turner, and Sabonis are, they're not, A1 guys. But they're B guys, and if you get 4 or 5 B guys on a team, you think you'd be able to at least compete for the playoffs. And so clearly this isn't working. There's some chemistry issues. There's something between hard and soft reboot. I'm always going to go with Donnie Walsh and go with a soft reboot. But I think it can be harder than normal, if that makes sense. So I think we should trade 2 of our B players for draft picks and young players, and not worry about bringing back an impact player. And then let Brogdon and whoever's left lead a fairly talented, a competent bench of Justin Holiday and Keelan Martin and O'Shea Brissett, and let them get through the season. And whoever's left on this team to be competitive and try to create some chemistry. I think my concern is trading away 5 guys for nothing. I just don't think it's worth it. So I'm going for 2 guys and some draft picks and some young prospects. And I don't want to. I feel like what we're gonna do instead is try to bring back an asset and screw this all up. So I'm going with the hard soft reboot.
So you're
I'm not tanking.
Firmly sitting on the fence.
Yeah, I'm not tanking, but I don't think we should keep fighting for the playoffs. We're going to stay in the middle like we always do. That's what I'm voting for. But with some
we can
draft
do
picks.
that from where we're at. Why do anything?
Because we don't have enough draft picks. I think we should try to get a draft pick and some young talent because we don't have that much young talent. We've got guys in the. Okay, all right, never mind. Let's start. Let's start over. No. Let's not trade anybody. Let's not trade anybody.
Harper, your turn.
No, we're not trading anybody. We're bringing in Lance Stevenson, and we're gonna make the playoffs. Never mind. I changed my vote. That's all we need. We just got to shake up the chemistry.
Sure. I mean,
Is that what you do to chemistry? You just shake it up?
that's how chemistry works, right, Jason?
Yep.
I think the hardest thing for me about answering this question is the things that I don't know that hopefully Kevin Pritchard does. You know, our big signing last season was Malcolm Brogdon, right? So presumably the purpose of this was to give him the keys to the car and then watch it go real far, real fast. But that hasn't proven to be the case. And he's the one guy we can't move, but I'm not convinced he's not the one guy we need to move. So it makes it because I know so little about what's wrong with this team, it becomes a difficult question to answer. I mean, definitely some stuff needs to happen, but I don't know that the guys in charge have truly identified what the problem is for me. So, I mean, armed with that total lack of knowledge, I mean, I would lean towards a soft reboot, right? Because I agree that the collection of talent on paper when we started the season was, I thought it was excellent. I picked us to win in the high 40s with a new coach and, you know, Malcolm Brogdon and Domantas Sabonis leading our team. And that just hasn't panned out at all. So I still like the talent on the team. We're still a very young team full of young guys with lots of upside. So I guess I would favor that route with that additional knowledge.
Yeah, nobody's really in their prime yet, or they're just beginning their prime. You know.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're
Joe, you're a former B guy. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sort of core of the team in general is pretty intact, but I mean, I think just making one move. I just making one move first and seeing what happens. Like I say, I like the coach. You know, individually, I like all the players for the most part. I don't really have a problem. You know, most of the guys when I see them out there, I'm pretty happy. A couple of the guys I'm, kind of are replacement level and don't get me excited.
So all the guys?
But no.
That's what she said.
But so yeah, I mean, I think just basically, like I like Turner and I like Sabonis, and I don't want to see either of them go. Whichever one you can find the best sort of relative package for, like package deal, wherever you can make the most gains on a trade, relatively speaking, is unless, I mean, for me that's what it is just move one of those guys or LeVert, I guess.
Yeah, so I mean, I appreciate that perspective, right? Obviously from an economic sort of perspective of NBA assets, that's the way to go. Like, which of these guys can you get the most return for? The thing that scares me about that is that we don't necessarily know who is the guy that we want to do a soft rebuild around. Whatever. After, the brawl or whatever, it was like, okay, we have Jermaine O'Neal. And we have Tinsley. Let's do a soft rebuild around them. It didn't work, obviously.
We had to chip in a chair.
Exactly. And but it was clear who those guys were. That it was like, these are the dudes that we're building around. And what worries me now about a soft rebuild is, who are the dudes that are, that's our chip in our chair right now? That if we have those two guys on the floor, we have a chance to win a ball game, and, let's strip all the non-essential parts away from that, and we can rebuild around them and get chemistry going. Is that Brogdon and Sabonis?
I mean, if it's not, we dug ourselves a huge hole.
I mean, okay, so I've listened to a bunch of other NBA podcasts that aren't as good as ours, and what everybody is throwing out Pacer trades because everybody wants Sabonis, everybody wants Miles Turner. They all think they can be better on their team because these guys have great skills. They have great skill sets. You can run offense through Sabonis. You can run defense through Turner. And there are teams that need those things. The fact that we can't unlock those things and there's a bunch of fan bases out there that think that they can is disturbing and frustrating. That we're not being able to make this work.
I mean, I would argue that we're using. I mean, Sabonis has a 23 PER. He's averaging on the season, 18 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists.
And never double doubles, right?
Yeah, like I would argue that he's doing just fine for us.
It's not leading to wins.
We're stifling his game somehow.
No, but it's not leading to wins.
But that's a different question. And like I said, I think if you're not building around Sabonis first, you're in trouble. I don't know what metric to use that he's not our best player. Right? Like, unless you're only looking at defense, he's our best dude. All I don't know is whether Brogdon and he want and can play together. Because together, they're both individually very good, but it's not adding up to much.
Yeah, they don't seem to have any chemistry. They don't seem to be building a relationship, right? There's not like the Brogdon-Sabonis pick and roll is just destroying the league, right? Like, you almost feel like they're running different sets. They're on the different courts. Like, they're both really good, nice players, but, like, I don't see much chemistry between them.
Agreed. And that's the problem, right? Like,
so will then Sabonis has to move unless you want to wait until next year unless you want to move Turner now and wait until next year to move Brogdon and just build around Sabonis. You can't keep both those guys on the team long term if that can't be your chip in the chair if they don't have a relationship.
If they don't have a relationship, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I understand. So, Herb Simon came out with like a interview with some reporters this week or something like that. And was like, hey, wait, everybody got it wrong. We don't want to do a full rebuild. We've never done that here. I don't want to be a part of that. And I understand his reticence to do that. Like, to go into the toilet, especially in a small market like Indianapolis, is like a very risky thing to do.
Especially with our attendance as bad as it is right now, specifically.
Like, if you're Philly, like, sure, going to the toilet, like, Philly has millions upon millions of people. They're going to sell tickets. It's fine.
They were bitter before. They're going to be bitter after. Doesn't matter.
Right. Even Houston is like a huge
They're
city.
still going to throw
like,
batteries.
They'll be fine. That being said, like, the opportunity to do this, like, strikes only so often, right? Like, and we are poised, one could argue, to reap a crap ton of assets. The technical term. From the league for Turner, Sabonis, LeVert, and then if we go into next year, Brogdon.
Well, and shout out to Pritchard for not signing untradeable contracts. Like, every one of these guys is extremely movable. They're all very talented.
Except Isaiah Stewart. We will not move that
guy. Or Isaiah Jackson. Or Duarte.
And I mean, so the what it comes down to me is like the goal is to win a championship, right? And while we have gotten close, we've never had a top 3 player in the league, right? In Indianapolis, right? And the route to getting that is that that dude is not going to come via trade, and that person is not going to come via free agency, or it's very, very, very unlikely that it's coming those ways. The way that it might happen is the way that it happened in Milwaukee, where you drafted a guy and you nurtured that and you built around that and you created a culture that got you to a championship. And I mean, as much flack as Sam Hinkie took for, like, you know, the process, like, Philly was right there. Like, you know, they had a shot. Like, I don't know.
There's a distressed asset in Ben Simmons that's out there that we could probably pick up.
I mean, I'd argue that we've tried.
We have tried, but what I'm saying is, try again. Now everybody's on the table. I don't know.
I mean,
Do you
as a
want
general
him? Does that
rule,
make it
if you
better?
didn't like the trade before, don't get desperate and like it now. That's probably not
Right,
a good
that's
way
true.
to do business.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's also easy for me to say, like, okay, let's bottom out and see what's going on. Like, I've never had to watch a bottomed out team, you know? Like, I don't know how hard that is to watch a Detroit that wins, like, you know, is 4 and whatever they are now. Like, that can't be fun.
No. And
But
I mean,
a part
it's
of
one of
me
those
thinks
things.
that, like, you know, and it's probably a grass is greener thing, like, that's got to be at least, like, more... the losses are definitely less hurtful.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think
Than
you
the
and
ones that
I,
I'm
we all
watching
could be
this
doing a
season.
podcast about who's improving and what's going on, as opposed to just like staring at a team. You're like, none of it really matters. Like, are we getting better? We're not. Like, are we getting worse? No, we're just not good. Like, you know, like if you have a bottom out team, at least you can like create some storylines. This is just hurtful. It's just like a bunch of good guys that can't win a game together.
I mean,
Like, I don't know what to tell them. Either does coach, right?
I mean, unclear what they're talking about when we're not around. Obviously, as I said, I just feel like there's a lot of stuff I don't know.
Right.
And, you know, bottoming out for a year and doing a hard reboot and getting a great draft pick that you're confident in, and then immediately building around that is one thing. And I would be okay with that as long as it felt like there was a plan in place. However, here we are, you know, a third of a way through a season, and making that decision now on the fly would say to me that, yeah, this is not something we're going to be able to get done in a year. This is at least a year and a half, the next 2 drafts worth of operation, right? So,
Yeah.
Without
You know.
the clear who we're building around. Like, is it Levert? Is it...
Well, but that's the risk, right? Well, so
yeah,
you're talking about
we're
a
not
soft
building
rebuild.
around anyone at that
No,
point.
no.
Exactly.
I'm saying...
we're building around, like,
Duarte.
I don't know, some dude that's coming out of high school 2 years from now, right?
Sure,
Yeah.
okay. So
And Duarte is our leader.
So Duarte and Isaiah Jackson are the untouchables, and that's what we're building around? Okay, yeah. That's going to put us in the weeds for a long time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
that's the
thinking if
point,
you picked
yeah.
one of our 5 decent dudes that are starting and said, hey, that'll be our veteran.
One of our 5 B guys.
Yeah, one of our 5 B guys.
Who
like,
are these
we don't even know who that
5
is.
B guys that we
That we don't even know who that
Our
is. That we're
starting
building
lineup,
around.
I suppose.
Right. That's our starting lineup.
Does that include Duarte?
No, that includes
Warren.
Warren,
So if you took Brogdon,
Levert,
Warren,
Turner, and Sabonis.
and Sabonis, like those are all B guys.
I mean, Sabonis is a B+ guy, an A- guy, but because he's an all-star.
And Brogdon, people tell me, is an A- guy.
And
B+
and,
guy.
and I think that Miles Turner is a guy on defensive end, but probably overall a B- guy, right? Because he
C+
doesn't.
maybe.
Yeah, because he didn't rebound enough. I mean,
I mean, you're not going to win a championship with your best player if you've graded him an A-.
Warren's our best player.
Right.
Warren's our best
Okay.
player, and we haven't seen it. Warren plays defense and offense. And
Warren hasn't played a game.
I
in
know. This is what I'm saying.
years
This is
and
our
may not
is
even-
our problem.
Well,
Our best player
well,
doesn't
Seems like
play
he has no
basketball for
desire
us.
to play for the
He
team.
doesn't really
That's
like
our problem.
team. Yeah.
Our problem is that he does not want to play for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And it's unclear to me whether that's a deep-seated organizational issue, whether he's kind of a jerk, or exactly how to split that blame up.
Or it's a deep tissue issue. You know what I'm saying?
No.
I thought I was trying to make it's a deep tissue issue. I don't know. It was funnier in my head. No,
Okay.
I'm saying he could be really injured. Is what I'm saying.
Maybe he's like in Camp Bjorkgren and he's just
Yeah.
out because of this.
It's all
Right.
about Camp Bjork.
Right.
He's still protesting the fact that Bjork's
Yeah.
no longer around.
I mean, you can be not 100% healthy and still, be at all the games and talking to the media and talking up this team and doing your part as a leader.
Right.
Just
Being rooting and being a good teammate.
Where is TJ Warren?
Yeah.
I mean, he's there at the game.
But he's
I
our
haven't heard
best,
boo from that guy.
right? And he's our best player.
Well, I don't know. He was for a week 2 years ago. I don't know.
He's our best
But
two-way
he's
player.
still,
There's nobody
even
else
if
that
he's our
plays
best
defense
player,
and
Colson,
offense.
he's a
That's what
B
I'm saying.
plus dude.
Right, but he's the best two-way
no
player.
A guys.
He's the new Bojan Bogdanovic, right? Like he plays both ways. He's a competent player both ways. He's not a star, but like he's a guy you could if he wanted to be an element of your team and he was behind your team, you could keep that guy on your team and build around that. A B plus guy.
So like why?
Yeah.
But he doesn't want to be here. So.
For my part, like I still believe Domantas Sabonis is potentially a big star, right? Like clearly my team doesn't agree with me, but I just think a guy who can put up, 20 plus and 14 and is one of the best big man passers in the league has a chance to be a real star at his age. And I think he'll continue to get better. And our lack of commitment to him, I find worrying. Even if it is just words to the press, right? And, again, it's just another touch point of, just poor institutional messaging, which is probably just an output of, bad leadership, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, before we go into the big reboot, I mean, if that's going to be the plan, I mean, you almost have to get rid of Pritchard for me, right? I mean, I just don't know that he's the guy to lead us, into the next iteration of the Pacers if that's what the plan's going to be. Problem is, I'm not really sure who's out there, and we definitely missed our moment if we liked Danny Ainge because he just got signed.
By who?
Yeah, where is he going? Utah?
I think it's Utah, right?
Yeah, he went to the Utah Jazz.
He's like
that's correct.
Doing some co-parenting of the organization or something.
Yeah,
and
is it
I don't know how
alternate
much
GM
they
or
need it.
something? I don't
They're
know
one
what
of
they're
the most consistent franchises in the NBA. So, the rich get richer, I guess, or the witch get witcher.
Sure.
I mean, when you have an organization that's running well, you go out and find talent to
And get better.
backfill your current talent and make you better.
Right.
And so that's what they did.
Damn it.
Let's go to halftime here. One thing I did want to mention before we go, just on the way out, is speaking of rebuilding in the draft, the Indiana Fever just had the lottery drawing just happened, and the Fever, even though they had a 44% chance, which was the highest in the league, they did not get the number 1 pick. They got the 2nd pick, and it went to the Washington Mystics, who were only 17.8% chance.
Woohoo!
So the Mystics get the number 1 pick. So,
What's all that losing for if you're not going to get the number 1 pick?
well,
Okay,
I mean, we're
so
real
lesson
good at
learned.
losing.
lesson learned: you tank harder. I don't know.
Well, maybe
They-
we don't tank.
Oh, okay. They went 12-42, and also the WNBA seems really lopsided because the Dallas Wings were 27-27 and still had a 10% chance to win the number 1 pick. So,
Jeez.
anywho, but they said this. They have the Fever have 2 first-round draft picks, and they said this is a really deep draft, so they're feeling good about their future. Alrighty, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in the second half to talk about. Well, we'll have a stat of the week first, and then how COVID's ravaging the league. Shout out!
Shout out Fever. Multiple
Yes.
ways. I don't know.
Fever,
Just the
two
Indiana
ways.
Fever. Yeah. back from the break, and before we get into the rest of the league news we were going to talk about, I did want to bring up my stat of the week.
Joey, stat of the week.
I like checking in on the locations that my friends live, and I caught this news from Boise, Idaho.
Oh boy.
And normally, you'd think it's be something with some guns or something crazy. You know what? It's a wholesome story. It was about a library book that was checked out and was returned a little bit late. It was 110 years after it was due.
Jeez. I'm shocked we had a library in 1911.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, let's see, the book was called The New Chronicles of Rebecca, which I believe is a, sort of book for young girls. Juvenile girls is what the
Wasn't that a sitcom on the UP or something?
It probably
WB?
is also is that, yeah. The book was originally $1.50, but
That seems pricey back then.
I know. And they said this surprised me. They said that props to the library system because they don't charge for overdue books anymore. They stopped in 2019, so props to them for that. And then also, the late fee would have been $800, which seems low for 110 years.
Yeah, clearly they're not compounding any interest on those late fees. So
I mean, they're just
we do have laws
just
against
money.
pyramiding late fees here. So there you go.
It's at the original rate of 8 pence or something.
Maybe, yeah.
That book's. I feel like that book, if it's in any kind of condition, has to be worth like tons of money just by sheer definition.
Yeah. But they lost all the paper records, or they just got rid of the paper records. So they have no idea who returned it. They have no idea who checked it out. But it did have some markings on it saying that it was proper to the library. So someone did the right thing, even though it wasn't when it should have been done.
Yeah, either that or they just donated it.
Maybe.
Way to go to Boise.
Yeah, shout out Boise.
Shout out.
All right, so as we've mentioned a couple times here, so there are COVID is COVID never left, obviously, but the Omicron variant and it's the other varieties are running around the league and the country and the world more than they were. In fact, there's I think as of recording, there's like 5 games that were going to be postponed. So Cavs, Hawks, Nuggets, Nets, Pelicans, Sixers. The Bulls had got to move some games around. Coach Frank Vogel was going to be on the sidelines for a while. Carlisle, of course. Well, I guess of interest to us maybe is while Vogel is out, Fizdale will be coaching in his stead. So we like Fizdale. But yeah, there's some teams that are really struggling with this. The Nets are another one that there's sort of increasing amount of people that are coming down or having exposure to someone that has COVID. And I guess in the same conversation, the Nets purportedly did say they were going to bring back Kyrie as a part-time player to play in the away games. And then essentially the next day, 19 hours later approximately, he entered the health and safety protocol. And there's actually discussions going on with the Players Association on what's the appropriate response, like to minimize the amount of games that are going to be postponed. So they, I think maybe amending the some of the short-term contracts that players can have just to fill in. So you have to have 8 players suit up to play the game, and some of these teams, if they sign a couple of guys, maybe they can not postpone a few games. So none of that stuff is all worked out yet, but it's back, and I don't, there's other sports, and I think there's some hockey games they're talking about relatively quickly, like going back to no spectators, and I think Harvard was talking about just going back to distance learning again next year. I'm interested to see, if they're starting to reinflate the bubble, or what the plan is. Jason, what are your thoughts on heading, hopefully not for long, but the reemergence of this is affecting the league?
I mean, this is just tragic, right? Like, I mean, it's affecting everything, right? The NBA is the smallest of concerns, right?
Sure.
Like this Omicron variant is ridiculously transmissible. Luckily, it's not, or doesn't seem as virulent as previous versions, so people aren't getting as sick, but it's still pretty intense. And I was just pulling up the numbers. 125,000 new cases a day in the U.S. and still we're at, what are we, over 1,000 people a day are dying. Like, it's just sad, like, that this is the state of affairs. And I mean, I think there's a lot of things that could be done, I guess, but even in the face of some of these things, like rampant testing and isolation and stuff like that, which the NBA is doing, like, still this thing is spreading. And I don't know what I'm just exhausted by this whole thing. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I don't know.
I'm also the wrong guy to talk to, because the acceptable end states that we would have pointed to at the beginning are now totally beyond our reach, right? I mean, It's super duper clear that the American population is not going to vaccinate to the point where we can actually do something useful to stop this.
Yep.
Therefore, this is just our current state of existence, and there's no reason to think that it's going to change very much over any particular time horizon. So,
nope.
I know that doesn't sound very hopeful, but, the reality is, kind of got to just do what you do, right? Because expectation of change on a large scale at this point seems highly, highly unlikely. The good news is, professional athletes very rarely come down with, life-threatening infections. So I'm sure, in spite of Colson's hopes to the contrary, Kyrie Irving will make it out of this just fine. But, I don't know what to say either. It's exhausting.
Yeah, I mean, I think the larger question is, like, sort of as a society, and this really hurts me to say this, because it's like basically bowing to the people that were like, why did we shut everything down in the first place? But, like, at this point, I mean, it seems clear to me that SARS-CoV-2 is going to be an endemic thing. Like, it's going to be like the flu. It's just going to circulate. It's going to mutate every year or every so often, and we're just going to have to people are going to catch COVID, like, for the rest of eternity, basically. And and we'll get annual boosters, or maybe even semi-annual boosters, like, given the way that this thing is super, like, I'm hearing stories of people that are, like, boosted and still getting COVID. Like, so this thing is it's the stuff that science fiction writers write books about, this is like intense. So I don't know. And then, like, how are we going to live our lives, like, going forward, right? Because, like, the thing that is super frustrating is, like, everybody sort of does these half measures now, sort of prevention and social distancing, like, blah blah blah. Like, we go to the office and it's like, in certain areas you have to wear your mask, but then in other areas you don't. Like, if you're you come into my office and it's just the two of us and we're both vaccinated, we can wear our mask. We can go without masks, but like if we're two doors down in a larger space, we have to wear masks. And like, but I don't know, it's not stopping the
you
spread
need a
at
Dakota
all,
ring.
basically. Right? Yeah. A, and then B, like these half measures are like not really preventing spread at all, right?
Wouldn't think.
And so
I had a building I was entering for work. This was last winter, and it was cold outside. I was in Michigan, and it was late fall, early winter up there, and it was like below freezing. And I come in from outside, and the way they tested, you had to take a test to get into the building, but it was like a forehead temperature scanner, and I had just come in from the outside where it was cold, and so like my temperature showed low. So I did not have a fever. So it's not effective testing.
well, I mean that's just that's
I mean, I looked at it, I was like, oh,
that's the most lipstick on a pig version of like us feeling safe is the statement like surface temperature infrared test. Like that's just dumb. Like
yeah, I looked at it like, oh, no matter what happens, no matter how sick I am or not, right now I'm gonna have a cold temperature.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like I'm bleeding from my eyeballs. We should be good here.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that people are going to continue to do what the NBA is doing. Is like try to just forge ahead, like especially all these like large companies like are still reeling from losses, from 2020. So they don't want to give away any gate revenue. Like nobody wants to give that back. Nobody wants to pause the NBA to like get things under control. And to their not credit, what's the word? Like in support of their position,
fairness,
in fairness, there you go, thank you. That pausing to allow us to like get everyone vaccinated and like isolate for a month and like be like, okay, cool, we have things under control. Like that's just, I don't know. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's disheartening, and you look around and, there's just so many preventable deaths, and I know people who have died because of this thing, and, those are the choices that people are making, So certainly, hopefully, if you're listening to this pod, and you're on the fence, go out, do some research. Vaccinations have been given to millions upon millions upon millions of people. It is very, very, very safe.
Yes.
COVID is not.
And it's demonstrably helpful in both limiting spread and limiting severity of illness. Like it's the best thing that you can do for you and your family and loved ones and
even
society.
Yeah.
Specifically with the league, I mean, so how do you guys feel about these like, signing all these contracts and 10 days? Like, would you prefer that what do you prefer they do with the season? Would you rather have them play with guys that you don't know and just get it, just finish it? Or
I mean, in some ways, like I feel like you want to, if you're the NBA, what you want to do is incentivize good behavior and incentivize teams to not go into like have a bunch of dudes in COVID protocol. And if the incentive is you got to play no matter what, like sign Joe Schmo off the street, I don't care if the date is on your schedule, like you're playing that game, then that incentivizes teams to take testing and social distancing and all that stuff as seriously as possible. And then
I would argue potentially it should make teams very invested in those things, but it may also divorce the alignment of, testing with their goals. And I don't know exactly how those things.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how those things are overseen by the league, and I'd hate to think that any team out there would just stop or fudge any test for monetary sake. But I also to the greatest extent possible, you want to align your goals.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have any good answers. I mean, I think it's probably going to affect lots of teams across the board. So most of it will probably come out in the wash on some level. And maybe the incentive at the end is just, hey, keep doing what you're doing, but you don't get to replay them, right? So for seeding purposes at the end, we're going by, how many wins you got, rather maybe than win percentage. I don't know if that helps the alignment problem or not, but beyond that, you could set up a reserve group of, potted up, ambitious players and ship them around to fill out rosters. But, obviously that's problematic for a bunch of different reasons as well, given that they're going to be in close contact with people who were just in close contact with a bunch of COVID positive people.
Yeah.
Hey, you're already playing basketball in front of 20,000 people, so what the hell, right?
So apparently the Magic Nets game yesterday had the combined 24 players that were out due to injury or health and safety protocols.
Man.
Apparently, so I like this Austin Rivers, his quote after the game. This is on his Instagram, but he said, "You should have seen the Nets team. We were playing Patty Mills, Blake Griffin, Cam Thomas were the only ones that we knew." See, we had to do a whole new scouting report. I didn't even know who I was guarding. I was guarding Anonymous.
Oh, it's so strong.
I made the choice. I'm not going to the games until I feel comfortable. And so, I don't know. It is what it is.
It is what it is, man.
I mean, I think at this point we've proven that, we cannot influence the behavior of masses of human beings in the United States to do anything, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. Just whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just it's not just in the U.S. I mean, there's. I mean, I just saw. I think the Netherlands are getting ready to start a pretty strict lockdown here pretty soon for the same thing. It's everywhere in some sort of similar fashion, but
yeah.
But
it's
anyway.
just effing exhausting. I mean, we were exhausted.
Yeah, no,
we were
I know.
exhausted a year and a half ago, right? And this is I don't know, the long-term ramifications of this whole thing on everybody's mental health and education. We've lost 2 years of education of young people, which is just going to be devastating 20 years from now.
Really need those kids to be paying my Social Security later. But.
Yeah, right. It's just going to be bad.
They're gonna get their news from Instagram, and that's just not something we see into adults. Never mind.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So, like I said, Kyrie is back, but he is he's in the protocol now.
It is super weird to me that they just up and changed the rule for Kyrie specifically, because
shout out to the Nets for sticking to their guns.
Right.
Come on.
Well, he learned his lesson, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, we are all about principle until it interferes with anything approaching a profit motive, at which time we will abandon all hope.
So, was he getting paid the whole time? I can't remember.
No.
I didn't pay. No?
Mm-mm.
Ugh. Poor guy.
I don't know. He's making ends meet and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, does he get paid now since they said okay?
Yes.
Okay.
My guess would be yes.
Yeah, gotcha. So that's super interesting. But he was only going to be allowed to play road games anyway.
Right. So he would cash road game checks, but not home game checks, I think. I don't know if they waived the fine. I think they were fining him as well. On a game-to-game basis or something like that. I'm not 100% sure on that, but he definitely was not getting paid. That's for sure. Speaking of getting news from fake sources, do you guys want to do an Undegooglable?
Sure.
Oh, are we doing Undegooglable?
That was the plan.
super excited.
You told us we had to, so.
He said we signed up for it.
In the end, it's going to be better and more true than Google can give you.
Jason, I think it's time for an Undegooglable. What do you got for us this week? How can I help you?
I mean, you have helped me so many ways throughout my life, and the fact that you're willing to help me more is so appreciated. Okay, here's one for you. So you hear in the movies a lot, or on, I guess basically the movies is the only place I hear it, is people are talking on the walkie-talkies or the CBs, and they're saying like 10-4, gotcha. Or Roger means the same thing, basically, like heard. In other parlance, people say over or over and out, and that seems much more direct to me than Roger or 10-4, which are vague.
Roger. What's the Victor?
What's the Victor? You guys have any ideas on what?
Well, I mean, to me, 10-4 just seemed like just off a list of codes, like for truckers, or
Feels military to me.
or maybe or military, but it just seemed like it was like a list of codes that you would just say for different, just whatever,
Sure.
confirmation or
But why would you want a code for heard?
Right. Because you're the
I guess-
military and you need
I
code
guess,
for everything.
and so you don't want people tapping your conversation or whatever.
I mean, it's not that. It's not like it's a brilliant cipher. It's just-
Okay.
What are the 10th and the 4th letters of the alphabet?
well, D is the fourth.
Yeah. So it's not like okay or something like that. It's not
Right.
like it's a simple substitution, but maybe it's a
10 is J, so not very helpful at all.
JD.
lawyers in the house. And then Roger has to be like an alternate of right, or I don't know. Like
What's in the not the phonetic
like the
Romeo
NATO
and the
phonetic, it's
phonetic.
Romeo. Yeah.
native phonetic, yeah. What's R is for repossess or something?
It's Romeo.
Romeo.
But maybe pre-NATO it was Roger, because that's way more American than Romeo.
Right.
That's true. So maybe, but still, but then why R? Why is R like got it?
Got it.
Maybe there was a guy who just always understood what was going on the radio. And his name was Roger.
It was Roger.
But we're thinking these are all. I mean, yeah, it seems very obvious that most of these are military derived, right? Like,
I always think that.
because they're
Well, that
going to
was
be at the
also-
forefront of like communication like this, where it's out in the field and crackly, staticky radios, and like you need to be as clear as possible in your communication.
Like police as well,
Sure.
know. But I don't know if that's. I mean, I guess I would think that those technologies are going to come to the military first, and
Yeah, just
trickle
assume that
like-
the police are all
yeah.
former military.
right. I mean, that's that's how the stuff seems to work. Like you get the your riot gear starts in the military, and then it trickles down to your local police forces, and the tanks and stuff. Like,
I mean, that's just logical. That's just the way you
Right.
would want to, secure a neighborhood.
Well, so we're assuming that these things are all radio and not byproducts of like Morse code or something.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
10 seems
Morse
like
code,
a lot of
Seems like a
times
lot of
to hit it.
dashes.
Yeah.
I feel like with the Morse code, though, I feel like there's, it's going to be much more clear, like because
dash. Dot.
he said what?
every response is longer than the original message.
Right.
Excellent.
I feel like with Morse code though, it's like it's like it's the written word. It's not going to be as confusing. I feel like assuming that they're error rates are low. I guess
Probably,
those
but I'm
people's
sure they still
jobs,
punctuated the end of a message somehow.
Sure.
Yeah, just like with the telegram, you would say, you would say stop or whatever, like
Right.
every sentence.
Yeah.
And then you would want some sort of way to relay back to the person on the other end, like received your whole thing. Maybe that's what a Roger is received.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm guessing so. Good call. And
All right, good. I'm glad we worked that out.
yeah, I like
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, I guess well, at least the 10-4, I feel like that was probably part of a larger list of common responses for a little disambiguation.
And so time-wise, we're thinking this is post-radio, post-transistor, so the 50s we're starting to do this stuff? 40s?
Yeah.
Probably World War II, I would have thought.
Yeah, that's where I'm thinking. But I mean, I feel like they had
They
good
definitely...
radios and
Well, they had Morse code and telegraph before that, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. But I feel like they're definitely rocking all of those technologies during World War II.
okay. So, but
At least
definitely
by the
like
end.
20th century, early to mid 20th century.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Strictly American?
Good question.
Doesn't Roger mean something filthy in British?
Yes.
So probably not British.
It's what Coulson hopes he's doing. But probably not.
But probably
It's not. Okay, let's see. 10-4 is one of the so-called 10 codes, or radio signals invented by the Association of Public Safety Communications Officials International. It is an affirmative signal. It means okay. The 10 codes are credited to the Illinois State Police Communication Director Charles Hopper, who created them between 1937 and 1940 for use in radio communication among cops.
Nailed it, Joey. And we got the time frame. That seems pretty straightforward. The early thing that I'm getting on Roger is that Roger was phonetic for R, received and understood.
Okay. Cool.
So here's popular mechanics, which is probably a little bit more trustworthy. The use of Roger as a confirmation has roots that go back even further than 1957. Let's see. Roger comes from phonetic alphabet used by military and aviation personnel during World War II. So, same deal. In the Morse code days, when sending long messages could be arduous, a useful shorthand was to respond with single meaningful letters. So responding to a message with the letter R, for example, simply let the sender know that the message had been received. When two-way radio came along, the shorthand continued, but with the word Roger instead of R itself.
So back on the 10-4, when the technology was first being rolled out, there were limited channels, so they had to make their communications quick, or other people wouldn't be able to use it. So they were using these codes to just to communicate quicker.
Yeah, so interestingly, 10-1 meant you are being received poorly.
Oh.
And 10-2 is the equivalent of Roger, I guess, which is you are being received clearly.
Ooh.
And then 10-4 is understood, or I actually, yeah, gotcha.
10-3, shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop transmitting.
So I like this one. So on Wikipedia, the 10 codes, the first one on the list is 10 max, and it means somebody's AWOL or a corrupt officer. Officer not following orders. Insubordination / rogue officer.
Seems like a wide range of responses would be elicited.
Yeah. For instance, 1035 is alcohol violation. 1034, riot.
So the thing is, though, okay. Yeah,
Usually you get a 1034 before, or 1035 before 1034, but I don't know.
There's different. So the 10 codes, there's different standards, it looks like. So there's like the first ones in 1937, 39. Yeah, and there's just like, there's different, over time, there's different standards. But yeah, I've seen a lot of these. Like 1091, prepares for inspection at this date and time. 1083, have officer, somebody call the station by telephone.
And then for some things, they like have subcategories. Like, so 1091 can mean prepare for inspection, or it can also mean, if you add a letter after it, animal in some state. For instance, a 1091E is an animal bit somebody.
So because there apparently quickly became regional and jurisdictional differences, it really wasn't until Hurricane Katrina that 9/11 has gone away from these 10 codes and moved to just plain talk. So instead of yelling out, for instance, 1036, you just ask what time it was.
Okay. Gotcha. Because 1036, if you're like communicating with somebody from some other jurisdiction, meant like
I'm being murdered.
Yeah, exactly. Animal with a gun or something.
That's 1001 in Boise, by the way.
Gotcha. That's just like status quo in Boise.
So these are, I mean, the idea, same idea as what we've also, you've seen some of these before, but these, like the penal codes used by different jurisdictions, but like in California, 187 is for homicide.
I think 420 might be something.
420 might be something. 311 is one of them. It was like for, I think the band was from
or something.
No, it was like it was like public indecency or something, because I think one of them was streaking or something. I think they were from like Kansas or something like that, or Missouri or somewhere.
All right, cool. Thanks,
So-
dudes. And,
Nailed it.
Nailed it, obviously.
Illinois. What was that guy's name? Dennis Hopper? No, that was all right.
Isaiah Stewart. I think.
Where'd it go? Charles Hopper.
Charles Hopper. Put it in the
Shout out.
hopper.
Apparently 10/4 is like, or October 4th is the day to salute radio operators.
Aha.
Very nice.
And of course, did also those caught on in the CB community too. And certainly, hearing a trucker say 10/4 was always at least in the movies. 10/4, good buddy.
10-4, good buddy.
It feels natural when you say it, Harper.
Yeah. If they don't say that, I'll be sorely disappointed.
They still use those in the long haul.
Yeah.
Are they all on?
They're just
do
on.
you think
I think everybody's on TikTok now.
You're just on Waze. Yeah.
you think they communicate by dance now?
I hope so.
It's all interpretive dance. That's right.
Yes. Well, it's the way everything's going.
Yeah, we'll send Colson to a truck stop for some.
Send Colson to a dance class, I think.
Yeah, we'll send him to a truck stop to investigate in the middle of the night. See how that goes. For him. Do some interpretive dance. See how it catches on.
See how it goes for him.
Put that on Facebook Live. We should slap a GoPro to him and just, I just want to do like a day in the life.
Wind him up and let him go.
Yeah, exactly. I'd pay good money for that. Can we get Peter Jackson on this project?
I think so. He's all over this project.
Peter Jackson would edit it down to a mere 16 hours.
Okay. The tight 16.
Tight 16.
Yeah. All right, team. I think we nailed it. Should wrap it up for the day. We're gonna get going here, but appreciate hanging out with us. We will be back with you on Tuesday. Probably. I guess it's holidays and all that good stuff, but we'll do our best. People will be traveling around, but we might be able to do a little meetup. I don't know. Harper, you're excluded. Sorry.
Cool.
You're definitely invited. You're certainly invited. But everyone, have a safe and healthy, happy holidays. Do what you do, but do your best to be safe, please. We're gonna get out of here. Thank you for listening. You can find us on the social media. It's a safe place to contact us. We are on Twitter at Undebeatables. We're on Facebook.com/TheUndebeatables. Our website is TheUndebeatables.com. There's a contact form there. You can use that to send us a message. You can send us an email. Shout out at TheUndebeatables.com. And we've got t-shirts for sale on the website/store.
And for the architect, Donnie Walsh, who is itching for a soft rebuild, and our once and always now Hall of Fame head coach Bobby Slick Leonard, turn out the lights, the party's over.
That was so much more hopeful than our last episode.
Oh, good.
Yeah. 10-4.
10-4, good buddy.
Roger.
The Roger, I think it's like in a bunch of the Star Wars. The droids say that all the time. It makes me laugh. Mm-hmm. At least in some of the, I don't remember which ones.
I think it's the crappy 1, 2, 3 ones.
Mm.
Oh, and I think it was also in some of like the the animated ones, which were, some of those were better than those movies.
But, I mean, I'm assuming almost all of them were better than those movies.
But you know what? There are people that are still huge fans of those, and will defend them.
The Phantom Menace?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
You say so.
I'm not one of them, but there are people out there who love them. I think a lot of it had to do with the age you were at.
Totally.
When if you're of the right age when those movies are coming out, you're all into it. But for us,
like if you were 8 and you grew up in a house with a lot of lead paint or something.
You needed both of those factors, right?